starting to think that my college degrees have been a waste. Hear me out. I have a Bachelor of Arts in English and Journalism with a concentration in creative writing. And then I have a Master of Fine Arts, which is a terminal master's degree in, was it, what? It's writing, fiction, right? In fiction writing. Originally it was nonfiction, then I switched to fiction, child, whatever, right? Right. I graduated many, many years ago. I'm a woman of a certain age. I'm an elder millennial. And I have never been able to find like sustainable work for any like length of time. Now, I did have like a somewhat decent salary at my most recent job, which ended in 2022. But even with that job, the benefits were horrible. And so I was going to have to pay like, I think 3 or 4 thousand a month for healthcare for my entire family, which at that point, the salary was what? Not only have I never been able to find like sustainable work. I mean, I definitely can't find any work now. I've also have like an insane amount of money, like debt. Like it's crazy. We recently, as I've mentioned before, moved back in. Well, we moved into, my parents have a vacant apartment above their garage. And so we moved back in there because we couldn't afford to keep paying where we were paying. And it's sort of like a reset and starting over. But we've been here like 4 months now, and I still can't find a job. And I don't even know what job I want at this point. Like the jobs that I've been applying to have been influencer marketing jobs because I've been in content creation. I've been in this space for 12 years, right? Going on 13 years. And so that's kind of all I know. But none of that has anything to do with my degrees at all. At all. So as much as it's like cool to say you have these degrees, have they added any value to my life? If anything, I've been shackled with an insane amount of debt. And I'm grateful for what I've learned at school, for sure. But I would trade all of it to not have the debt that I have and to be able to actually find a sustainable job, which is partially why I've sort of moved away from any sort of traditional education for my kids, because knowing trigonometry really didn't serve me. Like the shit that they make you learn in school, whether it's even like your gen ed classes, your first couple of years of college, like yeah, it like you have this well-rounded education, but to what end? I've never used trigonometry in my life, period.
Yeah, y'all. She makes some good points. And the main thing that I want to address is just the dichotomy between how jobs used to require that you have a college degree, and they used to use that as a baseline and as an indication that that would then mean that you have discipline, that I guess you could say, of course, that you're educated. Ultimately, they would use that as as an indication that they would be making a good investment in a worker. But somewhere down the line, that switched, and that wasn't a good indication anymore. And it really just became the wild, wild west where you actually just had to look at each individual candidate in themselves, and it was pretty much it was pretty much open.
As she said, she has a fictional novel degree or a performing arts degree, something like that. So
It's really a mixed mash of people because you have people in varying degrees, but then ultimately deciding that they don't want to either they don't want to work in their actual field or they just can't work in their actual field or whatever their actual field was, they didn't do the research to even find out if that was a lucrative career to begin with. So what happens? Then you have people in a performing arts degree, like she said, basically trying to go get a marketing job, um, getting varying type of jobs. So now you have someone with a degree, but it's a degree that is deviant of whatever the field is. And then you have a candidate who let's even say they don't have experience, but they just have more work experience in general. Maybe not in that field, but they've just worked a lot of different jobs. You can no longer just say, okay, because you have a degree, that means that you have discipline. That means the thing used to be, oh, this shows that you can stick with something long enough to complete it. But you meet a lot of people with degrees nowadays with no common sense, with no work ethic, with no initiative, and then the person who's just been working their whole life, they've got all those things, and if they've been, even if it was like labor jobs, they have character. So ultimately, this is a capitalism country. So you're not just gonna hire somebody just off principles. You're gonna hire the person that you feel like you're gonna get the most bang for your buck. So that's kind of where we are. You have to be able to convey and also show that you'll actually be the better candidate, and you're gonna have to stand on your own merit now. Because there's also been a lot of people with college degrees that have messed it up for other people with college degrees. And I say this because they've gone to jobs and they haven't made a good showing for what that college degree represents. And is forced, and this has happened in mass, in my opinion. So now it's opened the market up wide open, and now everybody can compete with everybody. It's that college, you're not going to be able to hide behind that college degree as a veil of, like she said, sustainability, stability, comfort. Basically, the college degree isn't going to save you out here. You're going to have to ride around and you're going to have to get it. And it's just that simple.
Sokotoa what?
Job hunting going. I've had to change my standards. I'm like, okay, at first I was like, I need this particular position with this amount of pay, this shift, and now I'm just like, just give me a job.
Stop calling people uneducated, unqualified, and dumb for not having a college degree. I really thought we were past that point, but I still see it in today's culture. My best friend from out of town was visiting a couple weeks ago, and she met my entire friend group, and she came up to me and said, "It is so cool how all of your friends don't have college degrees, but they are wildly successful." And it is so true, because most of the time, people that don't go to college kind of have to fend for themselves. They have to think outside the box. They have to use their brain to make money in order to make a living instead of just handing a degree to an employer. You'll also notice that people that didn't go to college and put a big emphasis on school are able to think for themselves. They don't believe everything that was taught to them in school. They don't believe every single history book they've read. They don't believe everything that the education system is telling them. And I have seen a lot of people come out of high school one way, and then they go to college for 4 years, and they come out thinking things completely different, because the college system is creating robots. It is teaching people to think the exact same way, and that anything else that you believe or think is wrong. Some people spend more on a college education than they will ever make in a year's salary. Now, obviously, not everybody is qualified to be an entrepreneur. We do need lawyers, doctors, engineers, teachers, etc. However, before you call blue-collar workers, farmers, entrepreneurs, people that work with their hands, social media influencers, dumb or uneducated, take a look in the mirror.
Ugh.
That's a good point. It's dang near getting to the point where you dang near have like an easy way to get over the college degree thing. Like if someone says, you don't have a college degree, and you can just simply say, why would I get a college degree? To work here. Why would I get debt in order to work a job that I don't need a degree for? And it's pretty easy, right? Who you tell me who's the smarter person? I'm sitting here competing with somebody who has a college degree in something completely different than what they're applying for today. And I don't have a college degree. And then we know they probably have debt somewhere in the background, and I don't. Because I'll be honest, man, the debt behind these college degrees, it's it's really slavery. Nobody really talks about this. It's slavery. Let me tell you something. You own, let's just say 100,000 in student loan debt, and it's accruing interest, and you're trying to just basically pay minimum payments because what usually happens is like the first young lady, pe- people have to move back home because it's so much. And a lot of times they're not even trying to pay it off. Like they're just trying to keep up and make sure it doesn't start accruing any more interest. So what if you don't have that situation? That's actually a really blessed situation to be able to move back home. If you don't have that situation, then what do? You just let it keep accruing, right? Until eventually they garnish it. And by the time that they garnish it, most likely, do you think that they care if it keeps on accruing interest forever? You can never wipe that away, but it can keep on building up and becoming bigger and bigger and ballooning. So it's slavery. Back in older times, when you owed a debt, you actually had to become a slave and work that off. Or maybe you had to sell one of your kids to work that off. And maybe maybe they would never be able to not become a slave. But now it's the same thing. If you have that debt, you can't get rid of it. They can garnish your wages. And if the interest just keeps accruing forever, see, we think that the interest is just gonna magically like it's just gonna someone's gonna come save us from the interest and like it's what's happening in the background ain't really happening because we're not looking at it. No, it's happening. And when you become an adult, you can make whatever decision you want, no matter how harmful and how much it might self-inflict yourself. You can make whatever bad decision you want. That's the responsibility that comes with transitioning to adulthood in America. Nobody's gonna actually, I would even say they're gonna try to encourage you to make the bad decision because that's just what we live in, and somebody's gonna be there to capitalize off that bad decision. If your student loan is accruing interest, somebody's capitalizing off that. Somebody's profiting off that. Off you basically never being able to overcome that. Because if you can't ever overcome that, then what's that mean? Like really think about that. When you can estimate that somebody's never going to pay off a loan, you're going to have that over you forever, and it's predictable. It's rough. So we got to use these as case studies. You see, people are saying that they have college degrees and they regret it, and it's not going to be as foolproof, and it's not going to cover you the way that you think it is. Right? We have to evolve with the times. And I would argue that you don't probably need a college degree anymore for most things. Unless it is extremely specialized, you probably don't need it unless you can just pay for it outright. That's kind of where we're at now. If you can't pay for it outright, then that needs to be a very well thought out decision. And that decision, you dang near, when you decide you're going to go to college, you need to look at it like when you try to get a business loan. They make you create a business plan, they make you present it, and they make you know when we get you this money, what is going to be your next steps immediately? What are you going to do with it? And what is your plan to then be able to pay us back? That's how you need to go into making decisions on whether or not you're going to go to college. You need to have a business plan, in my opinion. But we'll leave it there. Like the video, subscribe if you want to join Limitless Legion. Cash App link below if you want to tip the channel. Buy your boy iced coffee. And also feel free to join the Patreon as well, where I do post exclusive self-improvement content that's not on YouTube. But until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video.